They're consolidating a panel.
For all the juggling, but you know, it's called be flexible. Amen? Okay, now what we're going to do, we're actually going to do two things. We're actually going to combine the panel. We have the panel She Nourishes and Flourishes, which is Dr. Marquita Williams. And then we also have the panel She's Balanced, where we have Dr. Lorraine, I made you a Dr. Lorraine, I gave you a promotion, all right. Lorraine Ballard Morrow from iHeart, along with Derisha Miller. So again, State Representative Derisha Miller. Let me get that right, okay? Amen? No, I knew her when, so you know, I can do that.
I'm your state rep, so you know.
I know you're my state rep. That's why I have to make sure I mention that. Okay, goodness. Okay, so we're going to move ahead and try to stay as close to time as we can. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Marquita Williams, who's going to. Is your mic on? I'm on.
Hello? Yes, my mic is on. I just want to make sure that we are good with time. So what time are we stopping? Oh, so we basically got about 40 minutes to say what we need to say and make it great. Well, we can do that. Hello, everybody. Yes, I am Dr. Marquita Williams, and I am here with a wonderful, wonderful panel, and we're going to talk about nourishing, flourishing, self-care, and balance. Because time is limited, I am going to let the ladies introduce themselves, and then we're going to get right to the questions. I'm going to start right here to my left with Dr. Sicily.
Good morning, good morning. My name is Dr. Sicily Brathwaite. I am a psychologist and executive coach, and I am the author of a book called Better Daily Self-Care Habits.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Cheryl Hurley, and I'm here as a life coach, counselor, and also with a whole program about You Matter. So we're going to talk about why it's so important that you make your wellness your number one priority.
Good morning. How about up? Is it up?
Is that better?
Yeah.
Hi, good morning. My name is State Representative Derisha Parker. I represent the 198th District, which is Germantown, Nicetown, Tioga, Logan, Swampoodle, Allegheny West, and East Falls. And you're going to hear how an individual like myself, who was where you were last year as a volunteer, doing everything that needed to be done as a volunteer, and now you're looking at me as a newly elected politician. Thank you.
I'm Lorraine Ballard-Morrill. I'm the Director of News and Community Affairs for the 6 iHeart Media stations, which include WDAS and Power 99. And originally I was supposed to moderate the She's Balanced, but I'm going to cede to you, Dr. Marquita, and also maybe share some of my own personal experiences of how I try to create some balance in my life.
Absolutely. We all know that voice. You are the voice of the region for many, many years. I am so happy to have all of you. And so we'll get right into it. This panel knows what it means. Former Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown always used to say that the job of a woman is walking on a tightrope in high heels backwards, trying to get it done every day. And we all know what that's like. And so just to make sure that we are all, singing from the same hymn book, I wanted to start with self-care and balance. Like, what does that mean to you? I'll start with you, Lorraine.
Well, that's been my ongoing mission and struggle. I've been working at some form of the company I work for now for almost 40 years. And this job is very, very stressful. It's very busy. And sometimes it can be very, anxiety producing. So over the years, I've been trying to figure out different ways to get a little more in touch with the balance. I truly, and maybe I'm wrong and someone will refute me on this, but I'm not sure that balance, that work-life balance is actually possible in the way that we always try to think about it. I think it's just kind of a cycle that we go through. And lately, my cycle has been taking me to meditation. One of the things that I never used to be able to do was to meditate, because I'm too antsy. I need to go places, do things, be somewhere, always rushing. But I found a particular app that, it's called 10% Happier, and it's the one app that worked for me. So what I found that once I started meditating once a day, even if it's a minute, but hopefully it's 10, that I become more present, that I notice that I am not rushing as much, I'm more aware of everything around me. So I am very much an advocate for meditation, and I know that it's not for everybody, and I didn't think it was for me, but that has been a huge help to help me be a little more calm, a little less rushed, and a lot happier, maybe 10% happier.
Thank you. State Rep?
I'm glad that she gave that definitely type of conversation. Individuals look at me as a politician and trying to figure out my balance. The best thing that I did, I can say, is before I came here, it was with my husband. And he was saying, Sugar Plum, don't wear that. Sugar Plum, you got too much black on. Why you always wear black? So I'm literally figuring out my balance because I'm always listening to other people. So I call him sometime my mattress manager because it really talks to me about other things. And while I'm doing these things, God is always first and in the beginning and the ending of my day. And the best part of my balance that I started doing, I take all of my cell phones and my iPad and I leave them in my office, which is downstairs. I do not bring them upstairs. If there is a Citizens app that's going off, I will not hear it. That's been the only balance that I have, because individuals think that you're always on, that you're always have to answer a call and you have to answer an email. So what happens is all of the alerts are constantly going off. So you're always answering, you're always on social media. That's all, your head is down all day long, and that's all you're doing all day long. And then I realized that I don't have a date night. I haven't gotten my hair done. Well, I'm gonna get my hair done. Let me stop that. We're gonna stop there right there. We're gonna get the hair done, okay? But the priorities, but it's those other things that I can't remember the last time that I scheduled a night out with the girls, just to really hang out. Those are the type of balances that you have. Yes, I'll be 50 next week, but the other thing that's a blessing is being a mother, being a wife, being a grandmother, being all of those type of things. I have the pleasure to say that that's my job. That does not define me. And that is definitely my balance. That I still am the same woman that you met last year volunteering. I still get voluntold by Francis Jones and Robin and everybody else in the room, because that's what we do when we're sisters. It's not about our title. We have to constantly be balanced and be unapologetic about your time. People have been getting upset with me because I've been declining events on Sundays. And the reason why is because we have virtual services, and that's my only date time with my husband before I go to work on Sundays. So I have been declining events because then I'm telling them I'm working 6 days a week. And now I'm getting in the mode that I'm not feeling guilty of telling individuals no on Sunday because it's date night with my husband, or it's my time with my husband, or it's my time with anybody on this panel, and not being afraid to say no.
That is such a great point. We're going to get back to that. I'm going to let Reverend Hurley and Dr. Sicily answer the question, but that's a great point.
Yeah. My two sisters just have gone ahead of me, and they just kind of, I co-echo everything that they share. One of the things that I do to create balance is I have something that's called me time moments. And what happens is that we have relationships with everyone else, but what about the relationship that we have with ourselves? Taking time out for ourselves. There are two things that I exercise and some things that I encourage other women to do. I have a whole program built around You Matter, and so many times as women, we take care of everyone else except for ourselves. And when I think about You Matter, one of the things that we do to create balance, or that I do to create balance, is I set personal margin. You have to establish personal margin for yourself, that you don't overextend yourself. Just as my sister just shared, like being very intentional about setting aside time just for you. The other thing that I do to create balance is I have learned how to exercise the power of saying no. I would say any, if not all of us, will gain so much balance back if we master saying no. We don't have to say yes to everything, but when we say no to some things, we're allowing ourselves, we're positioning ourselves, we're empowering ourselves to say yes to the greater things, and those are the things that we need for ourselves. And I want to pause to say, because Dr. Blake opened this up this morning with a praise, and I have a praise, and as a reverend, they say, never give a reverend a mic. It's a dangerous thing to do. But as I look out in this, if I look out in this audience, last year, because I had stepped away from a practice of balance, I had lost my sense of balance, and I had been discharged from the hospital. I had lost all of my near vision due to pandemic, while the life coach, while the counselor was taking care of everyone else. She was missing some key signals that her body was saying to her, and I was diagnosed with diabetes, and I had to go on a strict regimen to regain my health. But as a result of that, I had lost all of my near vision. So when I sit out here and I look at this audience and I could see all of your faces, I'm grateful, because guess what? What I already knew, it wasn't that I didn't know, but learning how to take no to a whole nother level. I have regained my health, praise God. And also, I can't tell you enough, exercise the power. You owe it to yourself. You're worthy enough to recognize the importance of simply saying no. So I can see, and God gets the glory for that.
Amen.
Oh, I'm just taking a moment to breathe in that powerful testimony of how you've already centered your self-care and more deeply committed to it, having gone through what you went through. And so I thank you for sharing that with us. When I think about self-care, I use a definition that comes from a nursing researcher. Her name is Dorothea Oram. And it is that self-care is the pattern of activities that we engage in for our well-being on our own behalf. And that part on our own behalf, I think, is so important because we do so much for others' behalf that it often seems frivolous to focus on ourselves. And so I see self-care as signaling to ourselves that we matter, we are important, we are just as important as those that we love and care for, and we take care of ourselves as a testament to our recognition of that importance. I also believe that self-care is something that we can do regularly, and so I always say we need to have 3 types of self-care in our lives. And as you notice, we each have a different definition of self-care. That is important because self-care and its definition is unique to you. You have your own recipe, but what is not unique is that we each require a commitment and a mindset that supports that commitment that says, I matter, and I practice activities on my own behalf. So the 3 types of self-care that we need are regular, that's daily self-care. We need responsive self-care. That means that we have ways to cope when we are in challenging situations and preparing for challenging situations. Like, Lord, just close my mouth before I speak. And then restorative self-care, and that restorative self-care is what we typically think of, going to the spa, going on vacation. We need all 3, ladies.
Thank you, Dr. Sicily. We have some additional guests joining us. Hello, State Representative Donna Bullock and State Representative Patti Kim, welcome. We are talking, yes, give them applause. We are talking about something that I think you would also hold very dear to your heart, and that is creating balance and making sure that you have self-care. And so we talked a little bit about what it means to provide self-care, what it means to achieve balance. If you'd like to jump in and talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on self-care, that would be great. If you want a moment, I can come back. This is just a discussion amongst sisters.
Hey, sister.
Hey!
Well, good morning or good afternoon, and it's so ironic that we're talking about balance because I am actually trying to balance being a mom and a legislator and a community member today. So I want to apologize up front because I do have a hard stop to go get my son at 12:30, and so I had to be out here at 12:15, and you realize I got here late. So balancing was not a priority for me today, but I am figuring it out, and I think that is the key here, is that every day you wake up and we try to figure out how to balance all of the hats that we wear every single day. My hashtag on social media is LegisMom because I do take very seriously my role as a legislator, but I know first and foremost I am a mother. And that is so important to me. And anybody who knows me know the first 2 words that come out of my mouth is Malcolm and Xavier. And it's all about my boys all day, every day, and they are a priority to me. And so often that balance does get rocked, right? Because something gets thrown your way, you get the wrong directions from somewhere, or MapQuest sends you on a treasure hunt, or there's this thing that the kid needs for school, or there's a bill that needs to be addressed, or you get a phone call about an emergency in your community. And so we try to find that balance, and it is often like I'm always on that hunt for it, constantly hunting for balance in my life. And as I walked in here, I heard about all of the ways we take care of ourselves, because I believe that we can't find the balance if we don't care for ourselves, right? Because if I ain't right, the kids ain't gonna be right, dinner ain't gonna be right, them community meetings ain't gonna be right, because somebody gonna get this attitude. I was speaking to a group yesterday about a bill, and someone said something that really struck a nerve, and it was all over my Zoom face that I started getting messages about smiling and breathe, because I could not hold in, how I was feeling about the other panelists on this group. I love y'all. Y'all gonna have me. This gonna make my day. This 15
Watch your face, y'all. Watch your face.
These 15 minutes are probably gonna feed more into me than I feed back out into you, right? Because I often find that sanctuary, as we're in the sanctuary, and that balance when I am with other women, particularly with other women of color, who come to me and say, slow down, who text me and say, smile, my last text from my staff was, breathe, right? Just breathe. And so as I breathe and take a moment, I want to thank you for being here. I've been looking at this table, and I know many of the faces I have the pleasure of sharing these 15 minutes with, and I want to say thank you, because I walked into a few pearls of wisdom about self-care that I'm going to take out with me today. But as I continue to work on balance in my own life, I know that the work I do as a legislator is no different than any other working mother, wife, sister, auntie, caregiver. I have to go check in on my mom before I leave, today. And all these things that we do as women, we are constantly trying to be everything to everybody else, and finding that peace and that balance in our own lives is a constant challenge for us, but we have to do it. And so I encourage you every single day to wake up, look in the mirror, smile, breathe, then go through your Microsoft calendar and all that stuff, because it's there, right? You got to get it, but we have to breathe before we move forward. And striking a balance is the goal of the day. And if I can get through the end of the day and say I was able to accomplish all of the things that I wanted to, that's amazing. That doesn't happen most days. But I get through 2/3 of it, that's a good day. And I always know that, I always tell myself, the work will be there tomorrow. That other stuff will be there tomorrow. Make sure you finish your day with your family and your loved ones, doing the things that you enjoy and you love. And that's the balance that you need in your life. So I'm gonna pass it on to my sister rep, Patti Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank Robin for inviting me here. We were at an event for minimum wage, and we were talking, and then we naturally started praying together in the parking lot, and we just had this really strong connection, and she invited me here on the panel, and it's an honor to be serving with you here on the panel. My name is State Representative Patti Kim. I represent the city of Harrisburg, and again, I'm so honored to be here. I think the question is how do you self-care in a balanced life? But if you don't have a balanced life, it's called self-healing. And so we have to talk about self-healing before we talk about self-care. And, before I became a state representative, before I had this confidence, I was no Darisha Parker and Donna Bullock, just to be honest. I just, not feeling myself, knew who I was, among my sisters. I have 2 sisters, not the smartest one, they call me lazy, whatever. I just knew who I was. And so whenever somebody would criticize me or try to improve me, I lash out. I already know who I am. You don't need to tell me who I am, so I'm gonna lash out at you. And I don't wanna look at my problems because I know my problems very, very well. I know my weaknesses. Stop pointing them out to me. Until I had to collect the little, I feel like, strengths that I had to give it to God first. And I love the story with the 3 loaves and the 5 fish. I'm sorry, I'm not really good with the Bible. 3 loaves, 5 fish, 5 loaves. But whatever the little boy had to feed the 5,000, he gave it to God. He gave it to God, and then he multiplied the little things that he had. So I had to come before God and say, God, this is all I got. C+ average, not very confident, whatever. And then he multiplied it. And I'm able to be in a position that I never, ever dreamed I could be. My sisters laughed at me when I said I'm going to go into politics. So we bring whatever we have to God. He multiplies it. He uses that for his purpose, and we have a fulfilling and good life, and we have a balanced life. So to answer your question, what I do every morning, now that my kids are older, they're 17 and 14, I do my coffee quiet time. I have to. If I don't, I'm off balance the rest of the day. I don't always read the Bible, but I just talk about why I'm grateful and why I do this. It's not about myself. It's not about my reputation. It's about God's people, that I need to love on God's people and move forward. And a great, cool example, and it's not about me, it's about God. I was sitting there, just quiet time. Listen, kids went to school, and I got jolted out of my chair and said, go talk to Ms. a woman who I know has breast cancer, go to her and offer to take her to the hospital for chemo. I didn't think of this idea, but when sometimes God hits you on the head, you gotta move. I went upstairs, I texted her, hey, Miss Cindy, can I take you to chemo? We went to chemo all day, whatever, we had a decent time. Months later, she told me, Patti, I wasn't even gonna do chemo because I didn't think it was worth it for breast cancer. I didn't even want to get better. But because you offered a ride, I went to chemo, I started it, and now she's cancer-free.
Amen.
It is awesome. So to listen to what you're supposed to do that day, who to serve, who to reach out to, that's how I operate. And I don't regret it. I don't regret it. And I think that's a balanced, satisfied life that I lead, and I hope my wisdom can be helpful to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That is a beautiful reminder about centering ourselves into our spiritual place to create balance in our lives. So thank you. To that end, there's something that several of you touched on, and that is the multiple roles that we play as women. But I would like for you to tell me, how do you deal with the pressure that we put on ourselves and the pressure that we receive from other people to wear all of those roles and do it at the highest level?
I think I'm too honest.
What'd you say? I say with Chairwoman Bullock knows, she talks about the mask and the Zoom. She knows me that my points from 0 to 100. So it doesn't matter what level you're in. If you do something disrespectful, if you do something out of character, I'm coming. I don't apologize for it. I don't come on a Zoom and say, hey, thank you. I say, listen, what you did the other day to African American women and men was unacceptable. It was disrespectful, and we're not going to have it. And I have found that that is the way I always am, and I'm not going to change because my father put it in me, because he was the same way. It's never out of love. It's about you always know where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place of we should not always have to be coming into a room talking about our past and talk about individuals' transgressions and not being in a position to change it. There's our unacceptable behaviors that's happening because it's happening amongst ourselves, each other. People still upset because I won. Get over it. Yeah, I said it. Get over it. And you know what I do? I call those people and say, come join me for this event. I need you to volunteer. I need your time. I need your list. I need your efforts. We have to move ahead and stop being beat down for a past mistake. We have to collectively keep working together as people all the time. And we are some bad, oh yeah, I'm in church. We are some bad people. I couldn't say that word that I would have said in a movie, but I'm just saying, because we're bad, we're brilliant, we're articulate, we're dynamic, we're just really, really gifted. And we have to be authentic about it. And that's all the time.
Thank you. That's what I wrote. Being authentic.
Yes.
Reverend Hurley,
I wanted to respond because this was an excellent question to shoe into from the last one when we were talking about creating balance. And I want to pause to say, we all had our own definition about what self-care looks like, but self-care is beyond just getting our hair done and our nails done, but it's looking into the dimensions of our wellness in terms of our mind, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and socially. What my sister just talked about is one of the ways that we care and maintain balance is about how we manage our social life. And whenever something happens, it's important for us to recognize that we should own our voice. And what happens is that when we think about maintaining balance, when we don't own our voice at the appropriate time, then we create those stressors on the inside that causes imbalance. So I just wanted to piggyback on what she said. Don't think of it just from, the things that we do from the external, but what are we doing from the internal in all dimensions of our wellness?
Ooh, can I jump in here real quick?
That's very important.
And then I have to go because I'm getting all the pressure of being mom. But the question I heard was the pressure of wearing all these different hats. And sometimes we have to say no. And we also have to define who we are for ourselves. And I grew into this space of acknowledging, one, that I always wanted to please everybody else, make everybody else happy. Everybody said I should be a lawyer, so I went to law school. Everybody else said I should do this, so I did that. Everybody said I should run for office, so I ran for office. And I have taken a lot of inventory in my life in the last 2 years, got a lot of time with the pandemic to sit home and say, who am I? Who do I want to be? And when you look at all of the different titles that I have as mom, wife, daughter, friend, state representative, which of those titles are most important to me? And those are the ones that I'm going to prioritize and put all of my effort into. And then there was another question for me. Who was I letting direct my life? Who was I letting tell me where to go next, what my next move should be, and why was I giving them that power? And those were the questions I had for myself, and I think we all should ask. A lot of times we give that power to other people to tell them who we are and who we should be. Take your power back, take inventory of your life, and determine who you're going to be and set your path to get there. Because then I don't have to have all those pressures of being something and everything for somebody else. The only pressures I'll have is being who and what I want to be for who I want to be that for. And so that's very important as we try to balance those pressures, because I'm going to eliminate some unnecessary pressures in my life in the next year. And I think we all should do the same.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Sisson.
I had this experience a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was a week ago, and I was fulfilling some sort of task in my work, and as I was fulfilling it, trying to do 25 things when I was only asked to do 3 things, I had this aha moment. The things that I tell people day in, day out when I'm working with high performers, that you need to be really clear about what is the task, what are you being called to, and what are the requirements in the situation. Oftentimes, to get to that point, I think it requires some honesty and some looking within. And that looking within is, what have I taken in terms of how I was raised, what I see on television, what I have trained other people to do. And oftentimes it is to go above and beyond and do 110%. Let me tell you something. There is no 110%, there is only 100. And yet, everything has to be excellent. That is a lie. Some things can be good enough. Some things can be okay. Some things can be mediocre. And let me tell you why. Because you're good enough, you're okay, you're mediocre is better than those people sitting next to you, those people telling you what to do, and the voice in your head. So part of how I cope with all of what is required when I want to do my best is to recognize, and I've been saying this to people a lot because it's on my mind, to recognize that if I stopped contributing today, if I stopped working today, if any one of us at this table had stopped working today, we would have contributed more than what was required.
Hey, come on to Harrisburg meal Monday. I need you.
I think that's a pass the plate right there, right?
I need you on the floor.
I think it's time for the collection, right?
That's right, babe. We got to get you there.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to respond.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to add something based on what I heard Donna and Nourishes talk about, and that is, so often we think we make mistakes. Maybe I was late here coming, and I was beating myself up about it, although it kind of worked out. But I think that as we go on this journey of self-care, that we're going to fall short of that. I mean, there are going to be times when, we think we're on the right track and we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing, and then everything falls apart. And then we think, oh gosh, maybe it's never going to happen. But I think that that's when you say, all right, let's start again. Let's just start again, because we will fall short, we will make mistakes, but we can always start again. The other thing I wanted to mention too is I'd done an interview, which has always stayed with me, with a woman who wrote a book called Black Fatigue. And I think that as we have this conversation about self-care and wellness, that we have to acknowledge that every day we have to deal with systemic racism, microaggressions, and all the things that we have to live with as women of color. And I think that has to be part of the conversation, that we acknowledge how much of an impact that has on us. And that makes it become a little bit political, because in the end, it's our responsibility as a nation, as a culture, to be able to work with the institutions and the situations that cause this to happen. But I think it's very important to understand that there is such a thing as Black fatigue, and that we need to begin to address that and acknowledge that in our own lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to piggyback on again something that was said, and as you all can sit here and listen, this is our heart. This is our heart work, talking about self-care and how to create balance. Again, just to kind of something that Dr. Sicily shared, and she talked about the importance of creating balance and not feeling that you have to give 110% plus. 3 years ago, I came to that realization, and sometimes we always hear this coin of phrase, sometimes you have to know when to let go and let God. I actually was challenged when I looked at my self-care and the importance of balance, and we talk about nourishing and flourishing ourselves, that I walked away from a position as an executive director of a private school because it was interfering with my stress management. It was interfering with what God had called me to do. And the willingness to do that, because oftentimes we think, well, we owe this to someone else. Hallelujah. The only person we owe something to is ourselves. Hallelujah. And again, hallelujah, how many times do we shortchange ourselves because we feel like we have to fulfill the assignment? If it's not God's assignment on your life, it is causing you to be out of alignment. The last time I had an opportunity to be in this sanctuary was several years ago, when the former editor-in-chief of Essence magazine, Dr. Susan L. Taylor, said that I'm tired of people of color, our black and brown sisters, getting a bad rep of being considered as being mean. She said, let me just put the facts out there. They're not mean, they're tired. And when we think about the fact of, as black and brown women, right now, when we think about all that we've gone through and where we are now, in order for us to still shine, we have to make ourselves a priority. And if we don't understand what that priority is, seek God for direction. Because my sister on the end he plays a part in it. What is the sense of having the scripture that says, beloved, I wish that your soul prosper and you be in good hope as your whole body. And if your whole body, mind, body, and spirit is not flourishing, then you can't nourish the way God would so desire. So I just thank you for this space, because I'm in my element. Because if I can help just one recognize that you matter, I feel like I've done my assignment.
Yes. This is good. Look, now that the fire has come on, we are down to our last 5 minutes.
All right.
You know what though? Something that you said resonated with me as well, because I'm just like everybody else, moving fast, trying to jump higher. And I think that the pandemic really helped me to reevaluate my no, right? Right now, I think my no is too high, because now that we're out in the world, people call me, you a no? Can you know? Like, I'm good at it, but it feels good in my soul. So thank you for that. We have heard so many good tips, and I'm going to come back around and ask you for just your one tip that women can take away in terms of getting better about our self-care. But before I get to your tips, I'm going to remind you of some of the things that you've already said. So we've heard meditating, we've heard relying on relational support, turning off your devices, knowing who you are, giving it to God, being authentic, defining yourself for yourself, taking your power back, getting honest with yourself, recognizing your value, and exercising some grace over yourself. Isn't that good? Those are good, right? We got to take our show on the road. So if there's one tip that you could leave us with today, we are in our last 4 minutes, and also let us know how to reach you, where we can find you on your social media. I'm going to start with Dr. Cicely and go down the line.
I heard in that, be quick. I heard that.
You did hear that, be quick.
You saw that there was a shift in this conversation, and then the stage started vibrating. My tip is have conversations and connections at that level with your sisters. Take off the mask that you require to get through your life every day. Still have a place for that, but create spaces where you can vibrate at that level. That is well-being. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Sicily Brathwaite. For the next couple of days, if you click on the little MailChimp link, I have a free 30-day journal for you. And
the book is on sale today.
and my book is on sale today that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My tip is, and you all carry it around with you every single day, is the 41-cent principle. Every time you look at a penny, I want you to remember to make your wellness your number one priority. The next one is that when you look at the nickel that you carry around, I want you to find, no matter what's going on, to create balance, find at least 5 things that you can be grateful for. When you look at the dime, because we carry the dime around as well, is to take 10 minutes, no matter what's going on, out of each day just for yourself. I didn't say 10 days, 10 weeks, I said 10 minutes. And lastly, take a quarter. When you look at the quarter, find 25 affirmations, either for yourself or those in your community that you can speak over your life. When you apply this principle, what becomes just a practice becomes a habit, and it's something that you will do to maintain your balance. So again, that's mine, the 41-cent principle.
I love it.
Reverend Cheryl, where
how
can
you
we
can find me? You can find me on Instagram at Cheryl.HurleyInspires, and on Facebook, it's Cheryl A.S. Hurley. I have a table outside, empowered, resilient, and uniquely you, because I want all my sisters to recognize that you matter.
All right. Parker?
I'm going to leave you. Oh, is this one? Okay, that's what I used.
There's a song that's in my head. Get your house in order. And that means do it today. Get your house in order. Do it right away. Get your house in order. And that is the tip I'm going to say to every woman. That means don't send me a text message. Pick up that phone. Drop a card. Handwritten note matters. That's what I'm saying to every woman. Get your house in order with each other. We are wearing these masks and we are closing and we are covering our emotions, and you cannot see how we are hurting and destroying each other as sisters. If I look jacked up, tell me. Don't blast me on social media, girl. If you know me that well, call my phone. Call my mother, brother, Lorraine, and Reverend Marshall Blake. Tell each other we gotta do this more, face to face, and stop tearing each other down on these social platforms. Because once you hit send, you cannot retrieve it. It is out there. It is destroying our lives, our livelihood, our wellness, our way we live. It is showing how people really are. Because I want to let you know, social media is an agent. That is not who that person really is. That's the front. That's the cover up. Because I check them on the street. That's how you really feel about Rep Parker? Oh, no, you my boo. Well, then don't say that on social media. Because I'm now at your house drinking your coffee. We got to do that more. Safely, socially, and have social graces return in our lives on a daily basis. We got to, women, get our house in order. I'm looking at Tuesday's numbers. Black women, get your house
in order. Black women, get your house in order. We are the most powerful bunch of people in this earth, in this room, in this planet. Don't let an election pass you by. 6 months, every 6 months, and we have low numbers. We need high numbers every election. There's never an off year. It's always a year. We have to keep our house in order. Thank you. You can always reach Rep Parker. I'm everywhere, Rep Parker.
She is.
Social
She is
media.
everywhere.
If you really want to talk to me, you can do Nourishes Media, but I do love y'all. Thank you.
And you'll see her out in the community. You just can't miss her because she's everywhere and she's doing some positive, wonderful things. One thing I do, and I think it really helps me, is that I journal. I have a little journal, and every day I put how much I weigh, I put the date, and I put in at least a paragraph of what's been going on. Well, how do I feel that day? And then at the end of it, I do gratitude. Because no matter how bad I feel that day, if I start putting down what it is that I'm grateful for, then I'd always know that there's so much goodness in my life and so much to be thankful for. So I suggest a little gratitude journal or a journal. Journaling is very powerful. You can hear me on Power 99 and WDAS. The show is called Insight. On DAS, it starts at 6, and then it's 7 at Power. But you can always hear it on the iHeartRadio app. And actually, this Sunday, I interview the wonderful Dr. Reverend Lorena Marshall-Blake. Right over there. She is fabulous. There's a program, there's a campaign that they have at Independence Blue Cross called Someone You Know, because we all know someone who's working with and living with substance use disorder. So that is that. And also, I'm available on Instagram and Twitter at Lorraine Ballard, and that's Lorraine with 1 R.
I was driving from Harrisburg to Philadelphia on the turnpike. I was going through Lancaster, and I smelled something really bad. And I checked myself first, and I said, oh, it's the cows. Cows outside. In this business, our egos are very, very dangerous. And so I always have to check myself first. Am I the one who stinks? And when I realize it's not, then I can move forward. But I have to make sure in that quiet time, I shrink my ego. What's my purpose? What am I here for? Because that ego, like your tongue, it could do the opposite of what we're looking for. So I have to check yourself. Not to the self-negativity, I'm not good. Just check yourself. Am I centered? Am I going in the right direction? Every morning. It's a discipline. It's not once in a while, it's a discipline. And we move forward, linking arms with other great women, and I think we can go to better places. So thank you so much for having me. Really honored to be here.
Thank you. Let's have a round of applause for this panel. Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to share this space with you. I hope that we have all moved one step closer on our journey to self-care.